Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We're going completely back to basics to break down the literal building blocks of our economy. You know, we interact with the economy every single day, whether we're buying groceries, using a smartphone, or getting a haircut. But it's kind of wild when you stop and think about how all those jobs and products are actually categorized. So, we're going to dive deep into the foundational mechanics of how an economy operates. By the time we're done here, I promise you'll see the world around you in a totally different, highly structured way. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to start with the economic sectors explained, then hit the primary natural base, move on to the secondary industrial engine, and wrap up with the tertiary service support. Simple enough, right? So, Section 1, the economic sectors explained. Now, what's really interesting here is how everything connects. Every single job, every economic activity, and every product out there fits neatly into one of these three classified groups. It's a complete mapped-out journey. It starts with agriculture and nature in the primary sector, flows right into the heavy machinery and manufacturing of the secondary sector, and finally reaches the tertiary sector, the service industry filled with the people who keep our society running smoothly. It's an entire ecosystem, and understanding this flow, from raw earth to finished service, that's absolutely crucial to understanding our whole economy. Moving right along to Section 2, primary, the natural base. We are literally starting from the earth itself. The textbook definition here is pretty vital to grasp. The primary sector consists of activities based directly on natural resources. When we exploit the economy's natural resources, its land, its water, its forests, and its minerals, to produce goods, we are engaging in a primary activity. Nature is quite literally cooperating with humans here, and this is so important because it forms the absolute base, the foundation, for all other products we make. Without this step, the rest of the economy simply wouldn't exist. Because of its heavy reliance on the earth, this sector is commonly known by a really intuitive name, the agricultural and related sector. You'll also hear the goods produced here referred to as primary goods or natural products. Just think about the sheer variety of human endeavor that relies on natural extraction. We're talking agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, but it's also fishing, poultry farming, mining, quarrying, gardening, and dairying. Whether you're pulling timber from a forest, catching fish, or extracting minerals from a quarry, you are working right there in the primary sector. So, the crucial point is, structurally, the primary sector is largely an unorganized sector that relies heavily on traditional techniques. But here is an incredible paradox. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a hidden superpower. Don't let the word traditional trick you into thinking it's small. In developing nations like India, for example, it continues to be the absolute largest employer. It's a massive, sprawling sector that millions rely on every single day. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 3, secondary, the industrial engine. This is where the magic of transformation happens. The secondary sector includes all the activities that produce goods with the help of those raw materials we just gathered in the primary sector. We're taking natural products and turning them into other forms through manufacturing. And hey, this manufacturing doesn't just happen in some giant factory, it can totally happen in a small workshop or even at home. The whole goal is just to transform one good into another, creating a lot more utility out of it. And because this sector is so closely tied to different kinds of industries, it is widely known as the industrial sector, producing what we call manufactured or secondary goods. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that transformation process works. You take your primary goods and you turn them into secondary goods. You take raw cotton fiber and you spin yarn and weave cloth. You use wheat and you make flour and bread. You take sugarcane and you make sugar or gur, which is jaggery. It is a direct, tangible upgrade. Manufacturing truly scales across every aspect of our lives. Just check out these other secondary activities. It ranges from crafting toys or pottery at home all the way up to laying massive road infrastructure, running a bakery, mass-producing clothes, and building complex electronics like computers. If you are making a tangible finished product, you are right here in the secondary sector. Now, when we look at the data structurally, we see a really fascinating paradox compared to the primary sector. The secondary sector is an organized sector using better, far more modern techniques. We're talking everything from small-scale manufacturing units to large firms, big corporates, and multinational corporates. But here's the catch. Despite its incredible organization and scale, it has historically failed to provide employment to the surplus workers coming out of the primary sector. Finally, we have Section 4, tertiary, the service support. The word tertiary simply means third in order. But get this, there is a massive fundamental difference between this sector and the other two. The tertiary sector does not produce goods itself. Seriously, no physical goods. Instead, it's entirely made up of activities that provide support and services to the primary and secondary sectors to ensure they function smoothly. It is literally the glue that holds the entire economy together. And since these activities provide services rather than physical goods, everyone intuitively just calls it the service sector. Let's think about how this actually supports the other sectors in the real world. If a factory makes a product, well, it needs to be moved, so you need transport, like trucks and trains. If it can't be sold right away, you need storage and godowns. Businesses have to talk to each other, which means communication, telephones, letters. They need to borrow money to fund production, so in comes banking. And those goods have to be sold, requiring trade in wholesale and retail shops. Plus, you have broader societal support, like insurance, health, education, and tourism all racked up in here. To really ground this concept in everyday life, just look at the amazing variety of people making up the service industry. Yes, it's highly specialized professionals like lawyers, doctors, and teachers, but it's also your vital daily interactions: the waitresses, the mechanics, the shopkeeping, street vending, and haircutting. These folks aren't manufacturing a physical item for you to take home. They are providing their time, their skills, and their expertise. Structurally, just like the secondary sector, this is highly organized and uses better techniques to provide those incredibly useful services to the other two sectors. But here is the most exciting trend for sure. As economies modernize and become more complex, this sector's share in the employment sector is actively increasing. More and more of the workforce is shifting straight into providing services. So, what does this all mean for us? As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick challenge. Think about a single item you bought today, maybe a cup of coffee or a new pair of shoes. I want you to really visualize the farmer in the primary sector who grew the raw materials. Then, visualize the factory workers in the secondary sector who transformed it. And finally, the truck drivers, the bankers, and the retail workers in the tertiary sector who finally got it into your hands. Our entire world relies on the deep interdependence of these three sectors. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.